Is the worst thing you've overheard while pretending to sleep. Last semester, I discovered my roommate Jake wasn't just failing his classes, he was actively trying to get kicked out of school, and the reason why made me realize I'd been living with someone planning something terrible. It started around 2 a.m. when I heard Jake whispering on the phone. I'd been asleep, but his voice woke me up. He was trying to be quiet, but our dorm walls were paper thin. I kept my eyes closed and listened. "No, I can't do it during the day," he whispered. "Too many people around. It has to be at night." My blood went cold. Jake had been acting weird lately, staying up all night, sleeping through classes, avoiding his friends. "I've been planning this for months," he continued. "I know exactly how to get in without anyone seeing me." I tried to stay perfectly still, but my heart was pounding. Was Jake planning to break into somewhere, or worse? "The security cameras don't cover that corner," he said, "and I know which window doesn't lock properly." This sounded like he was planning a break-in, or something even more serious. "Once I'm inside, it'll be quick, maybe 5 minutes max. Then I'm out." I was terrified. Should I call campus security? The police? What if Jake was planning to hurt someone? "My parents will finally understand why I can't stay here anymore," Jake continued. "They'll have to let me come home." That's when it clicked. Jake wasn't planning to hurt anyone else. He was planning to get himself kicked out of school, but breaking and entering was still a serious crime. "Yeah, I'll make sure to get caught," he said. "That's the whole point. One felony charge and I'm done here forever." I realized I had to do something, not just for Jake's sake, but for whoever he might hurt in the process. The next morning, I pretended everything was normal, but I was watching Jake like a hawk. He skipped all his classes again, spent the day researching campus security protocols on his laptop, even looked up which buildings had the least surveillance. That night, he got dressed in all black and grabbed a backpack. "Where are you going?" I asked casually. "Just getting some air," he said, but he looked nervous. I waited 5 minutes, then followed him. Jake headed straight for the administration building. I watched from behind a tree as he circled the building, checking windows and looking for security cameras. He found the window he'd mentioned on the phone, an old one on the first floor that didn't lock properly. I had to make a choice. Let him go through with whatever he was planning, or stop him. I called campus security. "There's someone trying to break into the admin building," I reported. Within minutes, security guards surrounded Jake just as he was climbing through the window. They arrested him on the spot. The next day, I found out the whole story from his girlfriend Emma, who was crying in the hallway. Jake's parents had forced him to major in pre-med even though he wanted to study art. He was failing all his science classes because he hated them, but his parents refused to let him change majors or transfer schools. He thought if he got arrested, they'd have no choice but to pull him out, Emma explained. He was going to trash the registrar's office, make sure he got caught on camera. I felt terrible. Jake wasn't a criminal. He was a desperate kid who felt trapped. But here's the part that still gives me chills. When campus security searched Jake's backpack, they found something that changed everything. A gun. Not to hurt anyone, Jake later explained. He'd planned to fire it into the ceiling to make sure police responded, guaranteeing his arrest and expulsion. But what if a security guard had been armed? What if someone had gotten hurt in the chaos? Jake's harmless plan to get kicked out could have turned into a tragedy. He was expelled immediately and faced criminal charges. His parents finally understood how desperate he'd been, but by then it was too late. Jake spent 6 months in jail and had to start over at community college. Emma transferred schools and never spoke to him again. I got a new roommate and tried to move on, but I couldn't stop thinking about what might have happened if I hadn't called security. Sometimes I wonder if I should have just talked to Jake first. Maybe I could have helped him find another way out. But then I remember the gun in his backpack and I know I made the right choice. College stress can push people to do unthinkable things. Sometimes the person sleeping 3 feet away from you is planning something that could destroy their life, and maybe yours too. Now I always speak up when someone seems desperate, because pretending to sleep while someone spirals isn't just awkward, it's dangerous.